name is Avni Brambad.
This is Aliyah Abdul Kareem.
I'm Nikki.
And Riley Rainey.
The topics we are going to discuss are our objectives and campaigns to engage the driven youth. These campaigns include standing up for the community, speaking through customers' hearts, hosting brand ambassadors, and our campaign for Inbound 2021. Let's drive on in. In order to recommend these strategies, we conducted a survey with around 50 responses. These responses had a 58% negative feeling towards Porsche and 37% positive. 16% were indifferent about the brand and had no particular opinion of it. To improve these results, our four main objectives that will engage with the driven youth market include focusing on awareness, brand perception, acquisition, and COVID-19 adaptation.
60% negative responses is enough to stand up now for communities, change Porsche perception, and increase awareness. We come up with 3 recommendations. First one, under the title of Porsche Drive Your Future, we recommend Porsche to collaborate with universities and offer scholarships for master degrees in engineering, design, or marketing. Not only that, but also join the selection process, as this opportunity would be for someone who appreciates Porsche value to carry out a thesis with Porsche engineering, marketing, development. Second thing, funding competition for MBA students and entrepreneurs to get cash, mentoring, and other resources, or creating business plan for a new idea that would benefit the communities. But lastly, women. 62% of all new cars sold in the US are bought by women. According to this research, they also found out that women influence more than 85% of all car purchases. Target women and market for women. Take 2 seconds to read what the analyst says. This is confusing, right? It is. It is tricky to market especially to women without alienating men. That's why we come up with this idea. Partnering with non-profit organization and standing up for women. Based on the survey that we conducted, harassment, career opportunities, and being shamed and blamed were the main 3 women's social issues nowadays. And so, by targeting women and standing up for women, we're also going to include men because they are part of the solution. Let me show you an example.
We see it happen, but stay cautiously silent and uncomfortably look away.
Maybe because we don't know what to do,
How to help.
or how to combat the situation.
I said I'm fine, so don't bother me.
The time has come to keep our heads up and to stand up for each other against street harassment.
And everyone can be part of the solution.
Sorry, I'm gonna pay for it.
Excuse me. Is this yours?
Can you help me, please? I'm looking for this direction.
L'Oreal Paris and the nonprofit organization Holla Back have joined forces to teach men and women how to combat sexual harassment in public spaces with simple but impactful actions.
So for Porsche to effectively connect with youths, we need to develop a meaningful emotional relationship with these consumers. We can do this by having sensory branding, a strong storyline, and empowering our target users. So now we're going to talk about sentimental branding and why it's a difference maker. Today's youth is heavily concerned about social issues and align with brands that support their worldview. So we conducted a survey in which out of 50 responses, 41 people said yes, they do favor companies who speak up about these social issues. Over 80% of our respondents indicated that they view companies favorably based on their willingness to speak up on these important issues. For Porsche to stay relevant with the driven youth market, they need to invest in sentimental marketing principles for the following causes. We identified the following causes to be the most important to youth through our survey. So the causes were racial injustice, gender equality, and climate change. One way that Porsche can do sentimental marketing is through social media, as so many youth today spend the majority of their time on these platforms. While Porsche is already doing a fantastic job keeping their social media up to date, their posts are more heavily towards their cars and their performance. What we suggest is that while they should continue with these posts, they should also be more active in taking stances on important causes to stay relevant and to be able to relate, as well as engage with today's driven youth. Also, the youth can see through a company appeasing a sensitive trend, so the firm has to be mindful of the causes that they are involving themselves in and needs to operationalize the stances showcased on their social media. Porsche should target Facebook and Instagram to post about the social causes they're supporting, since our survey indicated that those were the highest used social media platforms. Lastly, we will be talking about commercials and how sentimental marketing can be done through this medium. For this part, we have divided the target up into two sections: driven youth and the driven female. So to start off, in general, commercials are something that Porsche already does to an extent, similar to many other major companies. However, we noticed that the commercials usually place a higher emphasis on the car itself and less on the experience of owning a Porsche and the story behind the person that owns that Porsche. We feel that Porsche's release of its electric cars is a great time to market the sentimental experience of the step the company is taking in the right direction of the well-being of our planet. Now to briefly talk about the driven female target. This is something that many car companies have begun to do in some of their commercials, and we feel would be an excellent opportunity that Porsche can jump on.
Our next recommendation is to implement a brand ambassador program to increase brand awareness. Results from our survey showed that many participants had little knowledge of Porsche. The target of the program is driven women youth. This program would differ from existing programs since the ambassadors will also be driven women, but not celebrities. The majority of our survey participants were both female and between the ages of 18 to 34. When asked how they felt about Porsche, many participants responded that they were indifferent or did not have enough knowledge of the brand. We felt that a brand ambassador program targeted towards the driven youth women segment would help sway consumers from being indifferent to being Porsche positive. The first step in creating an ambassador program is to choose candidates who exemplify the ideals Porsche identifies with, but are also representative of driven youth women. These ambassadors should be located in large metropolitan cities with a high number of driven youth women. The chosen candidates should also have a large network, both professionally and socially. These ambassadors should arrange quarterly Porsche-sponsored events or gatherings of about 20 women who fall under the driven youth women segment. Depending on when this is launched, the number can be adjusted to follow COVID-19 guidelines. The purpose of the event is to educate the attendees about Porsche and should be marketed as a networking event, where driven youth women have the opportunity to meet others like themselves and learn about Porsche. In addition to educating the attendees, ambassadors should ask probing questions to determine what factors, if any, have prevented them from purchasing a Porsche. It would also be a good opportunity to learn what these consumers would like to see from Porsche and what Porsche can do to help persuade these consumers toward their brand. When asked how they felt about a Porsche ambassador program, 63% of participants had a positive reaction, showing excitement or interest in partaking. As stated earlier, many participants felt indifferent or lacked knowledge of Porsche. Educating these consumers about Porsche could be the difference between people being indifferent and people being Porsche positive.
Inbound 2021 event is if life get back to normal after COVID-19, and hopefully it will be by 2021. When we asked people in our survey, what do you feel about attending physical events, people's responses went between somewhat to extremely uncomfortable to the idea. That's why we believe this is the best time to just invest into community, and after COVID-19 focus on physical events. And because COVID was really a big challenge to a lot of people, we see it's really imperative to focus on mental health, technology, and empowerment. Let's look at the speakers. So let me go with you quickly about the reason why we suggest you those speakers. Brené Brown, she is a PhD professor and therapist, published many books about vulnerability and shame. Nicole Liberia is a psychologist and most of her followers are youth. Rachel Hollis, we're going to talk about empowerment. She maintained a spot in the best 10 best-selling by her book, Girl, Wash Your Face. Going to technology, Eric always talks about innovation by design, and he is the author of What Happened in Vegas Stayed on YouTube. Inspired by Porsche features and keeping the communication two ways, set up a lounge to offer one-to-one individual quick counseling and self-reflection with therapists and healers to create more emotional and connection bonds. We cannot ignore social media part of increasing the conversion, getting into the conversation, and build relationship. To achieve high reach to youth, influencers and brand advocates are the main focus. That's why it's important to select them wisely based on the 3 R's: relevance, reach, and resonance. Show diversity and select them from different backgrounds. Make your platform lively by engaging with comments, likes, and share with audiences. People miss normally hanging out with friends, so we can highlight that as it's time to have like a competition by mentioning and thanking your friends and a chance to win a ticket for you both to attend Inbound.
To conclude, there are 4 key ways to engage the new driven youth market. Porsche should take more prominent stances on social issues, invest in communities specific to the driven youth, host ambassador programs to educate the market, and continue the Inbound program in 2021 with specific recommendations. With these, let's bring the beast to the driven youth. Thank you.